Monday mornings were created by demons. I'm sure of it. Because here I am, sleep-deprived, undercaffeinated, and praying that this interview will somehow fix my life. I've rehearsed my self-introduction at least 50 times on the way here. Good morning. My name is Evan Lee, and I'm very passionate about creative design. I sound like a robot every time, but whatever. Fake confidence is still confidence, right? The line in the cafe snakes all the way to the door. Of course it does. Everyone, and their grandma apparently decided today was the day for overpriced caffeine. I check my watch. 20 minutes before my interview. I can make it. The door opens, and the temperature in the room drops by 5 degrees. Everyone goes quiet, like some celebrity just walked in. I glance up, and then I get it. A man strides in, tall, broad-shouldered, wrapped in an expensive charcoal suit that probably costs more than my rent. His hair is slicked back in that effortless way that screams money. He doesn't look at anyone, he just moves, and people instinctively step aside. Even the barista freezes. This guy doesn't even bother with the line. He walks straight to the counter. Seriously? Good morning, sir, the barista stammers, immediately reaching for a cup. Your usual? Sir. Of course. He's probably one of those elite business types who think time is currency, and the rest of us are broke. But come on. There's a line. I stare at his back, irritation bubbling. His aura is ridiculous, calm, commanding, like he owns not just this cafe, but the entire block. The barista hands him his coffee without hesitation. Okay, no. Nope. Not today. Excuse me. I blurt out, louder than I intended. There's a line. We've all been waiting. The room collectively stops breathing. He turns. Slowly. Dark eyes, the kind that make you want to look away, but can't, land right on me. His expression is unreadable, but there's a flicker of amusement. Do you, he says in a low, measured tone, know who I am? His voice sends a shiver down my spine. Deep, smooth, expensive. The kind of voice you could pour over ice. But I'm too irritated to care. Do you know who I am? I fire back before my brain can stop my mouth. He blinks once. A faint smirk tugs at the corner of his lips. Oh God. Oh no. Why did I say that? Everyone's staring at me now. Panic claws at my throat. My brain goes blank. And then, in the most catastrophic move of my life, I hear myself say, I'm Damian Black husband. Silence. I blink. Did I just? Oh my God. The man raises an eyebrow, the smirk growing wider. Is that so? Yes. My voice cracks. So maybe next time, you could, not cut the line? My husband doesn't like it when people do that. There's a heartbeat of silence. Then softly, like he's savoring it, he says, I'll remember that. Mr. Black. He picks up his coffee and walks past me, his shoulder brushing mine deliberately. My heart stutters. I smell something faint, clean and warm, like cedarwood and money. My ears burn. He leaves. And I just stand there, gripping my cheap phone like it can save me. Did I really just pretend to be married to a random stranger, because I was mad about coffee? I'm doomed. By the time I reach the glass tower of Black Enterprises, I've almost convinced myself the morning was a hallucination. There's no way I'll ever see that man again. Right? I'm here for a normal job, a junior designer position in the marketing department. Stable pay, benefits, maybe free coffee that doesn't ruin my dignity. The HR rep, a friendly woman named Claire, greets me with a smile. Evan Lee, right? We reviewed your portfolio. Very creative work. Thank you, I say, trying not to sound like a fraud. The interview goes smoothly. No surprise pop quizzes, no alpha males glaring at me. Just polite questions and polite smiles. I even make Claire laugh once. We'll forward your application to the upper office, she says. The CEO personally reviews all final candidates. My stomach twists. Oh, okay. Thank you. Not that the CEO would ever actually see me. People like that don't even breathe the same air as people like me. My phone rings while I'm brushing my teeth. Congratulations, Mr. Lee. Claire's cheerful voice blasts through the speaker. The CEO reviewed your application and approved you personally. You're hired. I almost dropped my toothbrush. He did. Yes. Please report tomorrow morning. You'll be working directly under his supervision. Under his supervision? Wait, directly under the CEO? That's right. You'll be assisting him on daily operations. It's a great opportunity. She hangs up before I can process it. I stare at my reflection, toothpaste foam dripping from my mouth. I'm going to be working for a CEO, the one whose husband I pretended to be. I arrive early, dressed in my best outfit, the one that makes me look slightly less poor. The receptionist smiles brightly. Mr. Lee, the CEO is waiting for you in his office. My stomach drops. Ah, right now. Yes. He insisted. Oh God. Oh no. I follow her directions to the top floor. Every step feels like a countdown to my execution. When I reach the massive office door, I take a deep breath. Professional, I whisper to myself. Calm. Just smile. You can do this. I knock. Come in. A deep voice calls from inside. That voice. My hand trembles on the handle. I push the door open. The man from the cafe sits behind a sleek black desk, a faint smirk already forming when our eyes meet. My soul leaves my body. The nameplate on his desk gleams. Damian Black, Chief Executive Officer. I'm going to die. He leans back in his chair, eyes glinting with amusement. Ah, he says smoothly. My favorite husband finally showed up. My brain short-circuits. You're the CEO? Yes. He tilts his head. And you apparently my spouse. Heat floods my face. It wasn't. He stands, tall and composed, walking toward me like a predator approaching prey. Don't look so nervous. I'm not the kind of husband who bites, unless provoked. My throat closes. Oh my God, kill me now. He chuckles, low, rich, and annoyingly attractive. Welcome to Black Enterprises, Mr. Lee. Or should I say, Mr. Black. Monday mornings are cursed. But Tuesday mornings? They're worse. Because now I'm not just broke and undercaffeinated. I'm employed by the man I accidentally called my husband. I'm going to die. I splash cold water on my face, stare at my reflection, and try to breathe. Okay, Evan. You're not dead yet. Just keep your head down. Be professional. Pretend the coffee shop thing never happened. My mirror self looks unconvinced. Fine, I mutter. Maybe he's forgotten already. CEOs meet 1,000 people a day. He probably doesn't even remember me. A memory of that smirk flashes across my mind. Ah, my favorite husband finally showed up. I choke on my own toothpaste. Dead. I'm already dead. By the time I reach Black Enterprises, my nerves are shredded. The lobby is all glass and steel and hushed voices. Everyone looks like a model in a power suit. I clutch my bag like it's a life raft. The receptionist beams at me. Good morning, Mr. Lee. You're with Mr. Black again today, yes? Why yes, I squeak. She gives me a conspiratorial smile. Lucky. Not many get to work so closely with him. Lucky. Right. I take the elevator to the top floor, practicing my new mantra. Professional. Calm. No talking back. The doors slide open to Damian's office. He's already there, standing by the window with the skyline behind him, suit jacket off, sleeves rolled up. He's looking at some papers, but his eyes flick up when I enter. And just like that, I'm back in the cafe, the aura, the weight of his gaze. Good morning, sir, I manage. He tilts his head. Sir? That's new. I'm your assistant now. I should be respectful. His mouth curves. You were plenty assertive at the cafe. I miss that version of you. My face burns. That was different. He sets the papers down, leaning against the desk. Was it? I want to melt into the carpet. Look, about that whole husband thing. Ah, he interrupts, smirk deepening. So we're finally addressing the elephant in the room. I swallow. It was a mistake. A stupid joke. I was tired. You cut the line, He holds up a hand. Relax. I'm not upset. I blink. You're not. On the contrary. His eyes glint. I find it amusing. And possibly useful. Useful? Before I can ask, his phone buzzes. He answers curtly, his voice shifting to that cool CEO tone. Yes. Tell the board I'll address it by next week. Pause. No. They don't dictate my personal life. He hangs up. His jaw is tight. I fidget, pretending to read the schedule on my tablet. Something wrong? I ask before I can stop myself. He glances at me. Just corporate politics. They're restless because their CEO is, how did they put it? An unmarried workaholic incapable of relationships. That's blunt. Investors like stability, he says dryly. They think a wife, a husband, or some kind of anchor makes me look trustworthy. I laugh weakly. Weird flex, but okay. He looks at me for a long moment. Too long. My stomach flips. Why are you looking at me like that? Because, he says slowly, you're the solution to my problem. I freeze. Excuse me? He pushes off the desk and walks toward me. Not fast, but deliberate. You called yourself my husband in public. I could be offended. Or. He stops just in front of me, voice dropping a notch. I could make it official. I gape at him. You can't be serious. Dead serious. His eyes never leave mine. The board wants a married CEO. I need someone discreet. You're already on the payroll. And you've already done half the work by calling yourself my husband. I was joking. He shrugs. Then joke your way into a 6-month contract. Fake marriage. Generous compensation. Problem solved for both of us. My brain short circuits. Fake marriage. Yes. He moves back to his desk, opens a sleek black folder, and slides it across to me. A contract. 6 months. You move into my penthouse, attend events with me, act like a loving spouse in public. In return, I pay you enough to never worry about rent again. I stare at the folder like it's going to explode. You're insane. He smiles faintly. Possibly. But I'm also persuasive. I'm not. This is, people will know. They'll believe what we show them, he says simply. They always do. I can't breathe. Why me? You could hire anyone. Someone better. He studies me for a moment, and something softer flickers in his eyes. Because you're interesting. You're not afraid to stand up to me. That's rare. My heart stutters. That's not a good reason to fake marry someone. It's good enough for me. I want to scream. I want to run. I want to look away from those eyes. He leans forward, elbows on the desk, voice low. You already called yourself my husband once. It'd be a shame to make a liar out of yourself now. My mouth opens, closes. You're impossible. He smirks. You'll get used to me. He gestures to the folder. Read it. If you agree, sign at the bottom. My hand trembles as I flip it open. The contract is real, legalese, terms, signatures. My name is already typed neatly next to his. My heart pounds in my ears. This is crazy. This is the kind of plot that happens in dramas, not in real life. I look up. Damian is watching me, calm, patient, that faint smirk still playing on his lips. Say yes, Mr. Black, he murmurs. My fingers hover over the pen. I may have agreed to a fake marriage with my billionaire boss. For money. And maybe survival. Now I'm about to start my new life as the husband of Damian Black, the most untouchable man in the city. And I already regret everything. When I woke up this morning, I briefly hoped yesterday was a nightmare. Then the sleek black car parked outside my apartment reminded me otherwise. The driver bowed, and said, Good morning, Mr. Black. I nearly slammed the door in his face. No, it's Lee. Evan Lee. You've got the wrong guy. He smiled politely. Mr. Damian instructed me to pick up his husband. His what? 5 minutes later, I was sitting stiffly in the back seat, trying not to breathe too loudly while we glided through the city like royalty. I'm going to die, I whispered to myself. Death by luxury sedan. By the time we reached Damian's penthouse, I'd already sweat through my shirt. The elevator ride alone felt like entering a parallel universe. Silent, smooth, and smelling faintly of money and good decisions. When the doors opened, I saw him. Damian Black, in a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up again like the universe was allergic to buttons. He was standing near the window, city skyline glowing behind him like he owned it. Which technically he did. He turned slightly when he heard me. You're early. Your car threatened me. I blurted before my brain could stop me. One eyebrow lifted. Threatened you? It said, get in, very politely. I panicked. His lips twitched, not a smile, but close. I'll make sure it apologizes later. This man. The penthouse was ridiculous. Glass walls. Black marble floors. Furniture that probably cost more than my entire life savings. And the view, endless skyline, glowing like diamonds scattered on velvet. You live here alone? I asked before realizing that was a dumb question. Of course he did. Not anymore, he said casually, walking past me. I tripped over air. Excuse me? You're moving in. That was part of the contract. I thought that was a typo. He stopped and looked at me. Calm, unreadable, dangerously composed. I don't make typos. I made a choking noise that sounded like a dying pigeon. We'll have separate rooms, right? Of course. Relief washed over me for exactly 3 seconds before he added. For now. For now. He was already pouring coffee. You're very loud in the morning, Evan. By afternoon, I'd been shown around by one of the house staff who looked like she came straight out of a luxury magazine. She called me sir. I almost cried. The rest of the day was uneventful, until Damian walked into the living room, holding his phone and saying, Change of plans. We have a dinner tonight. Dinner? Like food. He gave me the look. A business dinner. You're coming with me. My stomach dropped. I can't go to some high-class dinner. I don't even own a suit that fits. He simply gestured toward a garment bag on the couch. Handled. Of course it was. Fast forward 1 hour later. I was standing in front of a mirror, staring at a stranger. The suit fit perfectly, sleek, dark, tailored. My reflection looked expensive. For once, I didn't look like the broke assistant who got lucky. Damian walked out of his room in a black tux, adjusting his cuffs. My brain short-circuited. Was it legal to look that good? His gaze flicked over me, slow and assessing. Not bad. Gee, thanks, I live for validation. A faint smirk curved his lips. You clean up well, husband. I made a strangled noise. Don't call me that. He opened the door. Then stop reacting every time I do. Touché. The dinner was chaos. Or maybe I was chaos, hard to tell. Flashbulbs exploded the moment we stepped out of the car. Damian's arm slipped around my waist, smooth and practiced. I went stiff as a board. Smile, he murmured near my ear. Or they'll think I kidnapped you. I tried. It looked more like a grimace. We entered the glittering hall. People turned, whispering. Reporters were already typing. Damian Black finally reveals his mysterious husband. If the ground had opened up, I would have jumped in happily. At one point, someone asked how we met. Damian's lips curved. A chance encounter. He stood up to me. I found it memorable. Everyone laughed softly, charmed. Meanwhile, I was busy having a quiet heart attack. When it was finally over, we got back to the penthouse. I barely made it inside before collapsing onto the couch. I think I aged 10 years tonight, I groaned. Damian loosened his tie, setting down his jacket. You did fine. I froze in front of cameras. I almost called the Prime Minister, sir. He looked amused. Confidence will come with practice. I don't want practice. I want my boring life back. He leaned against the counter, eyes half-lidded. You signed that away, remember? I scowled. You tricked me. He chuckled softly, low, controlled, dangerously smooth. No. I offered. You accepted. Ugh. Is right thou. I stood up, glaring at him. You're impossible. He tilted his head slightly. And you're dramatic. Because this is insane. You just, what? Pretend we're in love, smile for cameras, and expect me not to faint every 5 minutes. He didn't answer right away. Just walked closer, slow, deliberate, until I could see my reflection in his eyes. Then don't faint, he said quietly. Just breathe. You'll get used to it. My heart did a weird flip. Stop saying that. Stop reacting then. We stood there for a long second, the air between us sharp and heavy, until he turned away, casual as ever. Good night, Evan. I blinked. That's it. That's it. He disappeared into his room, leaving me alone with my confusion, my heartbeat, and way too many feelings for one night. As I crawled into bed in the guest room, I stared at the ceiling and whispered, 6 months. I can survive 6 months. Pause. Right. It's been 3 months since I became Damian Black's husband. 3 months of living in his world. A place built on steel, glass, and quiet power. 3 months of pretending to smile for flashing cameras, holding his hand at fundraisers, and listening to him talk about business empires like they were bedtime stories. Somehow, it stopped feeling like acting. Damian wasn't the cold machine I'd imagined. He was disciplined, yes, but human in rare, quiet ways. He noticed everything. How I took my coffee, how I got restless during meetings, how I bit my lip when nervous. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me, eyes softer than his words ever were. It scared me how much I liked it. The morning started like any other, quiet, expensive, and way too early. He was reading the news, I was scrolling through my emails, trying not to yawn in front of the CEO of Black Enterprises, and unfortunately, my fake husband. Eat something, he said without looking up. I will, I muttered. After I finish this. You said that yesterday. I looked up, ready to snap back, but his expression was unreadable, calm, cool, but with a glint of amusement that made my stomach flip. You're really enjoying bossing me around, aren't you? I said. He actually smirked. Maybe a little. Later that day, we had a board dinner. One of those events where everyone spoke in smiles and lies. I stood beside Damian, his hand casually resting at the small of my back. A habit he claimed was for show, but his thumb always lingered a second too long. Then I heard the voice. I didn't think I'd see you again, Damian. The sound froze the room. Low, smooth, familiar enough to make Damian's hand tighten slightly against my back. I turned. The man was striking, tall, confident, too perfect. He had that kind of beauty that came with old money and arrogance. Ethan Cross, Damian said finally, tone clipped. Oh, you remember me? Ethan smiled, the kind that could slice glass. I thought you'd moved on rather fast. His eyes flicked to me, assessing, amused. Your husband, I presume? I smiled politely. Yes. Evan. His gaze sharpened. Interesting. I didn't think you were the type to marry, Damian. Especially so quietly. Damian didn't respond, just handed me a wine glass, as if the conversation bored him. But I saw it, that tiny flicker in his expression. A shadow of something that wasn't anger, but something deeper. That night, Damian didn't say a word about Ethan. He simply poured himself a drink and stared out the window, the city lights reflecting off his glass. I hesitated. So, your ex? He didn't look at me. We were engaged once. Years ago. It ended. Why? Because he wanted the title more than me. The simplicity of it made my chest ache. I didn't push further. I just sat nearby, quiet, trying to ignore the feeling that something had shifted. Days passed. But Ethan wasn't gone. I saw him at another event, whispering with journalists, shaking hands with board members. He smiled at me across the room, sharp, knowing. Something in my gut told me he knew. And I was right. A week later, headlines exploded. Sources question legitimacy of Damian Black's marriage. Is his husband a paid employee? The article included details only someone close could know. The quiet marriage, the sudden promotion, even hints about our contract. My phone buzzed non-stop. The office was chaos. And Damian didn't flinch. He simply walked into the boardroom, eyes cold as steel, and said, "Find out who leaked it." But when his gaze landed on me, just for a moment, I saw it, that flicker of pain. Not because of the press. Because of me. I wasn't expecting to wake up to headlines screaming about me, about us. But there it was. CEO Damian Black's husband exposed as paid employee. The screen seemed to burn the words into my skull. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. My fingers shook as I tried to scroll down for details, but every headline was worse than the last. The gossip websites had already spun the story into scandal. The comment section was a war zone, some defending Damian, most mocking him, mocking me. I shoved my phone into my pocket and tried to breathe. The elevator dinged open behind me. Damian stepped out, dressed impeccably as always. But this time, he didn't say a word. He just looked at me. And I felt, for the first time in months, exposed. I went to the room and started packing my bag quietly. No goodbyes, no explanation. I thought if I left, maybe Damian's name would be spared. Maybe this could end without him losing everything. But I was wrong. His voice was low when he spoke behind me. Going somewhere? I froze. His presence behind me felt like gravity, pulling me back. My voice cracked. I need to fix this. He stepped closer, his shadow falling over me. Walking away won't fix it. You think I'll let you walk out of my life? You should, I whispered. For your reputation. His expression softened, then hardened. This isn't about reputation anymore. You're part of my world. You're part of me. I turned slowly. Damian, I was never supposed to be part of your world, I whispered. His jaw tightened. You already are. That stopped me cold. There was no anger in his tone. Just certainty. You don't even know what this is going to do to you, I said, my voice trembling. I know exactly what it will do, he replied softly. It will prove one thing. That you're mine. The words hit me harder than I expected. And in that moment, I stopped packing. Later, that day Damian stood at the head of the boardroom table. The air in the boardroom was tense enough to choke on. Damian walked in with an energy that demanded attention. He didn't wait for introductions. He walked to the head of the table, his coat slung over his arm, and gestured for me to stand beside him. I did, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. The board members murmured. Questions were whispered. Someone finally spoke up. Damian, this is serious. We need answers. Damian's dark gaze swept over everyone in the room. We do. Damian cleared his throat. We have a leak issue. Damian pressed a button, and a screen lit up behind him. The footage of Ethan walking into a secure office late at night appeared. His face caught perfectly by the security cameras. Emails followed. Metadata. Evidence. Every piece of proof Damian had gathered laid bare for everyone to see. Ethan leaked the information about my marriage, Damian said. His voice was quiet, but filled the room. He did it to destroy me. To ruin him. The room fell silent. Some board members shifted uncomfortably. Others stared at Damian, like he was delivering a verdict. Damian turned to me. His eyes softened just slightly. Yes, our marriage began as a contract. But somewhere along the line, it stopped being fake. I love him. There was no hesitation in his voice. No doubt. You can spin that however you want, he said, his voice rising slightly. But I'm not denying it. I'm claiming it. He is my husband. My choice. And I will stand by him. The silence was deafening. The air in the room felt heavy, electric. Damian's statement wasn't just for the board. It was for me. For us. The chaos after the meeting was something I couldn't explain. People whispered, reporters called, Damian's office was swarming. Yet, through it all, Damian found me later that night. He came to the balcony where I was sitting alone, staring at the city lights. The air was cool, sharp with the scent of the night. I should have left, I said quietly. He stood beside me, silent for a moment, hands in his pockets. And let them decide for me? His voice was low, almost tender. You think I care about what they say more than I care about you? I shook my head, but my throat was tight. I never wanted to cause chaos for you. You didn't cause chaos, he said softly. You brought me peace. His hand found mine. The touch was electric, grounding. I looked up at him, unsure what to say. He stepped closer. This isn't a contract anymore, Evan. Not for me. My heart thudded painfully in my chest. Damian. He didn't say anything more. He just kissed me, slow, deliberate, full of everything he hadn't said before. The kiss wasn't for show. It wasn't a statement to the world. It was for us. When we finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. You're mine. Always. And I knew he meant it. The scandal had faded. The world had moved on. But we stayed. A year later, we were still together. Publicly. Officially. No pretending. The morning sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Damian's, no, our, penthouse. A year ago, I used to wake up here terrified I'd make a mistake. Now, I woke up to his arm draped lazily around my waist, his breath warm against my shoulder. Damian, I whispered, nudging him. You'll be late. He groaned softly, which, for the great Damian Black, was practically a scandal on its own. 5 more minutes, he murmured, voice rough with sleep. You said that 10 minutes ago. He didn't move. Instead, he pulled me closer, his face pressed into my neck. You talk too much this early. I laughed quietly. You're impossible. And you're still here, he replied, finally opening one eye, smug, soft, unguarded. Later, we sat on the balcony with our coffee. The same balcony where he'd once told me he'd protect me no matter what. Now the city spread beneath us, calm, golden safe. Do you ever miss it? I asked. Miss what? The pretending. The cameras. The chaos. He glanced at me, lips twitching. I have enough chaos right here. I kicked his shin lightly. You're such a romantic. He caught my hand, his thumb brushing my wrist. I wasn't until you. My heart did that annoying thing again. That flutter I still wasn't used to, even after all this time. I looked down at our intertwined fingers. You know, I still can't believe you chose me. Out of everyone in your world. I didn't choose you, he said simply. I blinked. He smiled faintly. You crashed into my life and never gave me a chance to choose. You were just there. And suddenly, I didn't want to imagine anything else. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You're getting better at this romance thing. Good, he said, leaning closer. Because I intend to keep practicing, for a lifetime. The wind carried the sound of the city, the heartbeat of the world we'd both fought to survive in. For once, I didn't feel out of place. I didn't feel small. I felt loved. Completely, freely, and finally. When Damian kissed me again, it wasn't to claim or protect. It was simply to remind me that we made it. Through the scandal, the lies, and the pretending, we found something real.